Let me go live.
So the format, could be
Hey,
where you're kind of.
hold on. Hey everybody, it's Anton here, and I want to welcome you to a special live broadcast where we're basically going to be talking about what it's like to be an affiliate, what it's like, the trials and tribulations, the things that you may actually encounter, all the problems that you may be facing right now, how to actually overcome them. And I have a very special guest with me. His name is Scott Hawley. I met Scott a couple of years ago when he was in a program I was a mentor for, and he started to crush it. He's been crushing it on Facebook, and then he moved over to YouTube where he has done millions in sales. So I think it's safe to say he has an idea or two of what he needs to do with the whole online marketing thing. So today's call is going to be a little bit more open, a little bit more liberal, freestyle. We're literally just going to have a conversation. This is the type of conversations that we tend to have. We've been having similar conversations to this one behind the scenes. So we just now decided to, hey, let's record rather than have our own personal mastermind. How about we just invite everybody else in and have them listen to the type of things that we go through, the type of thought processes when you're trying to actually create a campaign and have some success with it. So that's kind of where we are with this one. So Scott, just a few quick words to introduce yourself, and then we can move on.
Yeah. So as Anton has said, my name is Scott. I actually got started maybe about 4 years ago, and the interesting thing is Anton was actually my mentor, and it probably took me probably about a good year of actually being able to be consistently profitable. But anyone out there is struggling with affiliate marketing, you're not alone. Both Anton and myself, we struggled, but you put your head down, you focus, and you don't give up, and good things happen, right? So
it's not your fault, but it's your problem, right? So the onus is on you to fix it. The onus is on you to actually take action and dig your way out of the hole. I don't care where you are. For those of you who don't know my story or Scott's story, I know personally, when I started with affiliate marketing, when I started online marketing, a friend just told me, hey, there's this thing called affiliate marketing, go forth, right? That was pretty much my introduction. Hey, people pay you a referral fee to actually send traffic over to them. And to me, like just that alone was enough to turn on the light bulbs in my head. And I just had a bunch of ideas. And even though I had no idea what I was doing in terms of the structure and the procedure and all of that stuff, I kind of just figured it out as I went along. And this is the first bit of advice that I'd like to give you right now is focus on the next step. Don't worry about having the entire map drawn out. You need to just understand the next step. A lot of times what ends up happening with people is that they get this analysis paralysis where they go into a new system, and yes, you want to have an overview of how everything works, but you're never going to be a professional on day one. It's just not going to happen, right? So the way you learn is by getting experience. The way you get experience is typically by making mistakes, right? So the lessons that you learn, or rather the lessons that stick, are typically the ones where you messed up, right? You made some sort of mistake, and whether or not it worked out or it didn't work out, those are the lessons that tend to stick. When you try something and it's just smooth sailing and you don't learn how to navigate, you don't learn the potholes, you don't know what to do, what not to do. So don't be afraid to make mistakes, right? Some of my most profitable campaigns came from mistakes, right? So you want to make sure, as my friend always says, some of us watching this may actually be mistakes we are here because of mistakes, right? So don't be afraid to embrace it. Like I said, in this call, it's just more or less a mastermind of what we're doing. The idea I had, and again, you guys, you can let me know in the comments. The idea I had for these calls was basically, hey, while we're going through the process of creating content, or we're going through the process of building campaigns or testing campaigns or doing the different things, why don't we just invite everybody else to just come, you guys just come and listen in. We do these calls very regularly, about 3 times a week right now. So why don't we just invite everybody to come and listen in? And if you want to ask questions, go ahead and leave it in the chat. Let me know if you have any questions. And then let's see essentially where this goes from here, right? So that's kind of, what we're looking at. I know when we're starting out, we don't have this, master plan where we're like, okay, we have hundreds of, no, this is how you literally start something when you are going from scratch. You don't need to have a massive audience. You don't need to have a lot of things that most people say that you need to have. It's just, hey, let's have a conversation. Let's start with an idea. Let's execute idea, test it, see if it works. You do more of what works, less of what doesn't, and then you scale it at the end of the day. And that's basically all it is. Sounds good?
Yeah, and we've to kind of expand on what you were saying. I completely agree. The people who made the most mistakes, and we're not talking about big mistakes. We're just talking about minor mistakes, little mistakes here and there. The more mistakes you make and the faster you make them, the faster you see success. And success could be like making your first sale, or even just getting your ad approved, up and running, and then seeing some traffic come through, so you can actually look at the statistics and see and try to track things and see if day by day if things are gradually getting better, right? But when you're first starting out, you don't have to spend a lot of money, but just have the idea that even if you're spending only $5, $10, $15 a day on testing, just make sure that everything is running smoothly, things are being tracked properly, and then you have something, you have a way to gauge whether or not you're getting closer to the whole. And this is essentially how I started becoming successful. And I was going to add on to what you said, Anton, was there's a lot of information out there, but if you can find just a few people out there who've done it before, they don't have to be super successful, but even if they are making, they made their first $1,000 or first $10,000 online or whatever, take some of the information that they're sharing with you and see it through. Do exactly what they tell you to do, and as time goes on, you'll see that if you just stick with just something, just focus on one method, you'll start to see some sort of success, and then you can kind of expand on it later on, right? But my breakthrough was actually learning how to listen to other people, do what they say, and then as I'm getting data and information is coming in, and I'm seeing certain results, maybe not sales, but I'm seeing more people going to my landing page, more people going to the offer, getting closer. Things become real. You start to tweak things here and there. Once you start seeing, well, maybe I'll see better results this way or that way. And before you know it, you make your first sale, and then you make your first, your first 5 sales, and then you're on to 20 sales. And then, that's when affiliate marketing really becomes a lot easier, because once you find something that works, the easiest part sometimes is just to kind of start increasing your spend and then having things take off. But the hardest part is the first part is continuously focusing on the end goal of maybe making a sale. And until you get to that point is continuously just trusting the process, whatever process you're using.
Yeah. And having that focus, and, it's good that you mentioned, when you're doing affiliate marketing and stuff, one of the things that, well, actually we'll just segue into a little segment. So we have gone through the ringer, right? We've made the mistakes. We've driven off the ditch. Like we have done all the dumb stuff for you, right? So if you're in a situation where you're trying to get this to work, right? Whether it's an affiliate marketing, whether you're trying to start a new business, you're just trying to improve your life, right? Because when we're all starting out, I remember the first time I started affiliate marketing, my goal was, hey, I want to make $2,000 a month, right? And this was, years and years ago when I started. I want to make $2,000 a month, because at $2,000 a month at the time, I could pay my rent and I could get groceries. I wasn't balling out of control. I just wasn't starving at that point, right? I could cover the bare bones minimum enough to survive. And that's all I wanted. Now, when you're starting out, we all have goals, right? So I'm sure you guys have heard people say, hey, when you're starting out with online marketing or business or really anything, you have to have goals, right? Goals are super important. I used to say that a lot as well, until I was actually watching a football match, and the coach was just, absolutely amazing. He wins everything. And I believe he was saying something to the effect of, look, we all have goals, right? A successful person and a person who's not successful, they have the same goals, right? So in his case, he was saying, hey, when two teams step on the field, they both have the same goals. They want to win, right? The difference between the successful people and the people who are not successful is the successful people commit to the activities that they need to do in order to achieve those goals. Whereas the unsuccessful people, they only have goals. And those goals tend to turn out into wishes and desires because there's no action plan in between. There's no saying, okay, well, if I want to make 6 figures a year, that's my salary. They don't break it down and say, well, if I'm making 6 figures a year, then I divide that by 12. That means, I'm doing this much per month, which means, I need to actually speak to this many people per day in order to close this many people. So they're not breaking it down. They're not committing to the activities that you need in order to be successful. And so I am positive once you actually do that, you kind of let go of the, oh, I need to make 100,000. Oh, I need to make 1 million. Yes, that is the long-term goal. But what are you going to be doing in between that, in between that point? What steps are you going to take? What steps are you going to commit to and actually see it through? Because if you just have that goal of, hey, I want to make X, it's going to be a dream. It's going to be a pipe dream, and it's going to stay a pipe dream, right? Remember, successful people and the people who are not successful, they have the same goals, right? The exact same goals, right? Successful people are just committing to the steps in between. And that's what I found that typically I wasn't really doing. I wasn't really looking at it from that perspective. And as Scott and I were speaking a couple of weeks ago, and I said, hey, commit to the inputs and the outputs will take care of themselves, right? If you can commit to your inputs, then the outputs, you don't have to worry about outputs. But if all you're focusing on the output, well, you can't control the output, right? You can only control what you're doing. You can only control the input. So that's one of those tidbits that I think that the tips that is crucial when you're starting up to really take a look at and see, okay, this is a mind shift that I need, rather than just saying, hey, I want $100,000, because we know a lot of people who are completely broke, right? And they want $100,000 just as much as you want it, right? So it's not working hard.
I have an example of that, and I'm sure your story is similar, but my goal before when I took the same program you did, Anton, was I think part of that course was actually setting goals. And I took out a notepad and I started writing down my goals, and I started with the biggest goal. My biggest goal, I think, was something like I wanted to make 10,000 sales or something like that, right? Something at that time I couldn't see happening. But then in that course, they also said, well, I'll break it down, right? So I started doing that. So line by line, I started saying, okay, well, it starts with one sale. So my first goal is to make that one sale. And then I would on the page, I would list all my goals. And basically I was going 1 sale, 2 sales, 5 sales, 10 sales. And I wrote that all down. But then I also said, let me break it down even further. I think this is where you're getting to, is now my goal isn't necessarily what most people would see as successful, but my goal now is, okay, on day number 1, my goal is to get maybe ad copy written, or write my first ad copy. And maybe the second day, my goal is, okay, come up with maybe 2 or 3 different images I may want to use for my Facebook ad, let's say. Maybe the third goal is, okay, now I'm going to put that together and I'm going to submit my first ad, day number 3, right? Day number 4, okay, now I'm going to maybe submit 2 more ads with 2 different image variations, right? Day number 5, look at the data and maybe start to kind of take the most successful ad I have and then start making 3 more variations of that ad. So you start breaking it down so much where now you're breaking your goals down even smaller than your first sale. Ultimately speaking, right? If you start doing that, that you're eventually gonna make your first sale. If you start to look at your click-through rate, what kind of interaction you're getting from other people, you're gonna start seeing certain trends. And now you're gonna get closer to your goal. And the funny thing is, once you get that first sale or first 2 sales, as you know, it starts to kind of take off a little bit. But to get to that point, you're breaking things down to that, to that level, right?
Yeah, it snowballs. And the funny thing is, we all like encouragement, right? There's a saying where I'm from: encouragement sweetens labor, right? And we all need those little victories, those, the little wins, right? So if your goal is, and again, kind of to drive this point home, if your goal is to make $100,000, it is easy to get discouraged along the way. It's easy to get lost in a lot of different avenues, a lot of different dead ends. And again, if you have a goal right now in terms of financial, if you have a goal right now and you're listening to this, just go ahead and type goal in the box. All right. So my question is, if you have a goal, why haven't you achieved it? Right. And it's typically something came up and it's stopping you, right? It's you. Most people you ask, okay, why aren't you more successful than you are? Typically, whenever I do consultation calls and I ask that question, they're like, well, Facebook, or it's YouTube, or, your spouse, or, the internet, or, whatever, right? It's usually something external that people point to say, hey, the reason why I'm not more successful than I am is because of this person holding me down. And you may be in a situation where, as I said before, it's not your fault, but it's your problem, right? So it may not be your fault why things just went sideways, right? But it's your problem. So you need to take a step back. And like I said, if encouragement sweetens labor and you're in a situation where you have an ultimate goal, you rob yourself of that feeling of accomplishment. You rob yourself of that little victory, because if you want to make $100,000, for example, all you have is that big win, right? You don't have anything along the way. No, if you're talking about inputs, right? It's easy to keep yourself motivated if you're managing the input. So as Scott said, if you're waking up in the morning and saying, hey, I want to write an ad copy. Well, writing an ad copy is entirely dependent on you, which means that when you're done writing that ad copy, oddly enough, that feeling of accomplishment is a little victory, the thing that will make you continue going, right? So tomorrow when you say, hey, I want to put up an image, then you're getting all these little victories along the way. You're getting that little, release, that little euphoria, a little high that you're getting each and every time that you accomplish that goal that you set out. So as I said earlier, if you're controlling the inputs, right? If you're measuring the inputs, then the outputs tend to take care of themselves. It's like you're driving a car. If you head in the right direction, at some point in time, you're going to reach where you want to go, right? All you have to do is steer in the right direction, and then you ultimately end up where you want to go. But if all you're worrying about is, hey, I just need to be at this place, what ends up happening is you're like a dog chasing its tail, right? Because every time you look, it's like the place changes, something happens, and you're like, oh my God, I'm getting sidetracked because of this, and I'm getting sidetracked because of that. And it's easy to follow that shiny object, right? That next shiny object, because you constantly start questioning yourselves, like, okay, yeah, but this guy says that he's actually doing it much better, and this way is much better. Let me let you guys in on a little secret right now, okay? Most of what you see online is complete garbage, right? Most of it. And unfortunately, if you are new, you end up having this information overload. It's difficult for you to decipher what's real from what's just complete rubbish, right? And if that's the case, how do you actually look at it, from a perspective of, all right, which direction do I follow? Because I start out here, and then all of a sudden this other guy says, oh, I have a better way. So typically, as it was explained to me, I went to a conference once. What ends up happening is that, let's say that you have problem A, right? What ends up happening is you say, oh, this is the way that we can do it. You can run ads on let's say, Facebook, right? You go through and then you put all this energy and enthusiasm and everything into this. You buy this course and now you're running ads on Facebook. You run up into the first roadblock, right? You reach a point where you're like, oh man, you know what? I need to record videos. Oh shoot, I don't know how to record videos. All right, you know what? Let me go research how to record videos, because hey, that's the key to me being successful in this ad game, right? Again, hypothetically speaking. So now you go off and do all this research on how to record videos, right? And then lo and behold, you're going to see some guru out there who says, actually, you can make money without having to record videos. And you're like, oh, that was a barrier. That's where I kind of stumbled. That's where I was stuck. I had to record videos. So you're telling me I can actually do this without recording videos? Oh my God. Okay, let me go through and, buy this other course because, it doesn't involve the problem over here that I was trying to look for a solution. So I'm going to buy this course because I can now make money without recording videos, right? I can just do it with images. And then you go off and then you hit a point where you're like, okay, I need to create the images, but the images have to be a certain way and they have to, appeal to a certain audience, saying like, oh man, I don't know how to do that, right? I don't know how to edit images. So you go online and you look on YouTube again, how to actually edit images. And then the same thing happens. You know what? You can actually make money without having to edit images. And you literally go off and then you buy that course and then you end up in a circle and you get into a tailspin. And that is literally how we end up spending thousands and thousands of dollars essentially wasted because we have the good intentions of, yes, I'm going to see this through. But when you hit that roadblock, you start to research of how to overcome that roadblock. And invariably, somebody's going to come along and say, you can actually get the result you want without that roadblock. Come over here. And then you just keep getting drawn all over the place. And then you end up in a tailspin. And the next thing you know, you're $100,000 in debt. You've made no money. And you're like, what the hell is going on? You're disillusioned. And then you go back to working at your regular 9 to 5. And you say, this stuff doesn't work. You scream it from the mountaintops, right? If this is you, if you are getting what I'm saying, right? If this sounds familiar, go ahead and let me know in the comments. But this is a type of scenario that I myself have been through, and I know countless others have been through. And so we want to put you in a situation where you're not falling for the same trap each and every time, right? That's not the rate that you need to step on right now, right? You can dodge that rate, right? We want to show you, okay, the pitfalls, the things that we've gone through, the mistakes that we've made, so that you don't actually go and make the same exact mistakes and waste all that money. Like I like to say, I've already made the mistakes for you. I've already bought all the crappy courses for you. I've already gone through and done the failing for you, right? So if you want to get to the stuff that actually has merit, the stuff that actually works, then go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I actually set up a free course where I'm just showing you, I'm testing a bunch of stuff. So if you want access to the free course, the link is in the description below. So yeah, anything else to add?
No, I was going to give you an example, and I'm sure everyone could relate to this, but how many times are you trying to solve an issue, go to YouTube, and the video that has the most views is the video that doesn't help you at all.
Yeah.
And then the video that has like 50 views or like 500 views is the exact video you're looking for to solve whatever issue you're looking for and stuff, right? So a lot of the big courses out there, a lot of the information you see out there where they have really good marketing, they tend to they tend to not give you the real meat of what is happening in any specific market. Or so if you're learning to do something, you have to be fairly careful of kind of who you follow, the information that you're following, because there's a lot of bad stuff out there and there's also a decent amount of good stuff out there, right? But
and as you said, a lot of the information that's easy to find tends to be packaged in a way to get you to buy.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you very rarely have people coming online and just sharing content, right?
Oh, yeah.
And answering questions. You very rarely have that, right? Because obviously they want to make money. And so rather than building up a community and saying, hey, let me just provide value first, what you end up finding out is that a lot of people end up just having a scripted session because I know that's going to make the most amount of money right off the bat. I'm not looking at the long-term money. I'm looking at how can I get money right now? And so they have a nice flashy presentation. They give you little tidbits. And then the next thing you know, you purchase a course and then you run up into the same issue. Invariably, I don't care what you're doing. Anytime you're doing something new, you're going to have a challenge, right? And if you have a challenge, then at that point in time, that's when the cycle ends up starting itself again, where you go to YouTube, try to find an answer, buy another course, and then go through the same thing over and over and over again, right? So that's what we're trying to help you to realize that, yeah, I've been through that cycle so many times. And sometimes when I catch myself in that cycle, like, I can't believe I fell for this thing again. Like, I can't believe I know what's happening and I still fell for it again, right? So you kind of want to make sure that you're not going through the same thing, because if you recognize early on, hey, this is what I need, right? These are the factors that are involved in actually choosing a good business. I was actually on a call with a client earlier today, and I said to them, look, if you want to have a successful business, there is one thing that's even more important than pretty much any other factor, right? There's one factor that will pretty much guarantee you success in business over almost anything else. Again, would you guys like to know what it is? Again, if you do, just go ahead and let me know in the chat, right? But here's the one thing. I don't care what type of business you are. I don't care if your location. I don't care your education level. I don't care your how charming or I don't care. It really doesn't matter, right? If you have this one factor in your business going for you, you're going to be successful more often than not. If you don't, you're going to fall flat. It is your profitability, right? Your profit margin. Now, let me explain. If I buy something for $1 and I'm selling it for $1.01, right? And my profit margin is a 1% profit margin, I have to be perfect. Let's say $1.10, right? So we're doing it for a 10% profit margin, which, if that was a stock market, that would be reasonable, right? So you're buying it for $1, you're selling it for $1.10, right? You have to be pretty much perfect to make sure that you get that 10% margin. Make sense? Because any mistake you make, anything that goes wrong, whose pocket is it going to come out of? Is it going to come out of the customer's pocket, or is it going to come out of your pocket, right? It's going to come out of your pocket. So you have to be perfect. What are the chances that you're going to be perfect, especially if you are new to the business? Pretty much zero, right? And so let's look at another example. I'm buying the same product for $1. I'm selling it for 10, right? Do I have more room to make mistakes? Do I have more room to send out emails where I actually forget the affiliate link so nobody can buy my stuff, right? Yeah, I have a lot of room to make mistakes. No, again, let's just take it even more ridiculous. We're buying it for $1, we're selling it for 100. The amount of mistakes that I can make and still be profitable, because once I get one person to buy it, then it has covered all of my mistakes, right? And I can learn on the job. So the key is what industries, what business models allow you to actually start fresh, make a ton of mistakes, and still make money, right? That's the type of business I want to be in. I don't want to be in a business where I have to be the Michael Jordan of the business in order to make a 10% return on my money, right? It's too much stress, too much effort, it's too difficult. I want it to be easy. Now, if you want a business model where things are easier, where you have a high profit margin, where you can basically mess up almost every day and still win, let me know in the chat. Just type win in the comments below, right? This is, again, another tip that took me years to figure out. It sounds simple enough, but as any online marketer will tell you, any business person will tell you, if the margins aren't there, if the profitability isn't there, you are screwed, right? I have had this happen to me personally, where I have had campaigns where I'm spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they're like, oh, wow, I spent, and this happens online all the time. Tell me if you've ever seen it. You see an ad and it says, yeah, I made, $300,000 this month, right? That's how much revenue I made. And then they don't really tell you how much money they spent to get that 300,000. They just tell you what the revenue was. And when you look behind the scenes, they may have spent 298,000 to make that 300,000. How many people would want to have to spend 298,000 to make 300,000, right? Anybody? No, right? How many people would rather spend, $500 and make that same 2,000 profit as opposed to spending 298,000 and make that 2,000 profit? I know that's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to Scott, right?
Happened to me as well, yeah.
And we don't start out this way. What usually happens, this is how it starts. You start out and it's profitable, right? So I know you're probably thinking, why would you spend 298 or if you're only going to make 300,000? You wouldn't do that. That doesn't make any sense. Well, here's how you do it. You started at 1,000 maybe, right? And it made 2,000. You're like, oh man, this is awesome. So it's all right. Tomorrow I'm going to spend, 2,000. I'm going to double my budget. And you double your budget. And then, yep, it made 4,000. And you're like, oh, this 2-to-1 is holding. Let me scale it even higher. And then you keep doing that every day. So you get to a point where, let's say you're spending 10,000 and instead of making 20, you're making 18. So you're still making $8,000. So you're like, it's worth me spending the 10,000, right? I remember when I was in high school, they called this a utility curve, right? In economics, didn't pay attention to it at all. Now it's come back to bite me because we are going to continue raising our budget until the amount of money that you make is equal to the amount of money that you spend. At that point in time, you realize that, hey, if I spend an additional $1, I'm starting to lose money, right? So we tend not to look at the profitability. We tend to look at the revenue, right? And when you're scaling, you get stuck in that scaling cycle because what ends up happening is that you are hoping that the profitability will improve. But as we know, the more money you spend in advertising, the more you do something, is the less profitable it's going to become typically, right? Because you're starting out with a perfect audience in the beginning. That's why your profitability is so high. And then you're going over to the maybe not the perfect. This is not your starting 5 or your starting 11. This is maybe, I might have to dip into the bench, right? This guy is not the greatest, but he's a super sub. And then super sub gets injured. And you're like, oh man, I can't draw for the super sub today, but yeah, I get the next person. Next person is injured. No, you get to the point where you're scraping the bottom of the you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, right? You are going through and you're literally just picking somebody off the street and just handing them a jersey like, hey, you can play ball, right? And clearly they're missing all the shots. Clearly they're doing double, whatever sport you want to use, they're just messing it up. And that's how it is when we're running ads. We start off with the perfect people, we make a lot of money, and then once we start to scale, guess what happens? We start to lose and profitability sinks. And that is why I'm sure I remember having conversations with Scott where I was like, why aren't you scaling? He's like, no, I'm good because, I'm making profit right now. So it's a balancing act between you want to spend a lot of money and scale it quickly and, get as much profit as you can versus you keep it where it is because you don't want to rock the boat. Like, I don't want this thing to break, right? I want to keep this making money. But here's the secret. In most affiliate products, your profitability is going to go to zero, regardless of what you do. At some point in time, the train is going to pull into the station, right? And so the only question is, how much profit would you have made along the way? A lot or a little?
Yeah, I mean, it gets back to focus, right? Most business owners focus on revenue, right? And if you're focusing on revenue, you'll make that revenue. But if you're not focusing on the profitability, right, that's when you get into trouble, right? So like I was saying, my first goals were revenue, right? Those are my first goals. So even though I was hitting those revenue marks, like you said, as I'm trying to scale, my profitability just keeps shrinking and shrinking, right? My costs are going up because now Facebook or YouTube is trying to find additional audiences to show my ads to. And when they're doing this, they're also sending them to more expensive audiences in order for if I want to spend, say, $10,000 a day, well, maybe at $5,000 a day, I can reach everyone at maybe $1 per click or maybe 80 cents per click. But all of a sudden now,
wait, hold on, pause a second.
Yeah.
I want to point out something. You see how you just said, if I'm spending $10,000 a day, he didn't even bat an eye, right? For most people, they would love to spend $10,000 a month and be profitable. And he's just like, yeah, but it's funny. There was a time when if I said, Scott, you can spend $10,000 a day,
I wouldn't believe you.
Absolutely freak out, right? He would just lose.
Well, I would.
But I need to bring you back down to earth, Scott, for a second. Because most people listening to this, $10,000 a day in ad spend is, that's gobbledygook, right? That's like magic, right? You're not talking like actual English, right? You're talking in some fairy tale land. So let's bring it back down to actual numbers.
Okay, my fault. Yeah, but I mean, the same thing holds true for, let's just say, if you get to a point where you're spending $500 a day, right? The profitability you'll see at spending $100 a day versus $500 a day in terms of your return on investment. You know, your return on investment may be at 200%, right? At $100. But all of a sudden you increase your budget to $500 a day. Now your return on investment is, say, like, 80% or maybe 90%, right? And what you find is, as you start increasing the spend, your cost may slightly go up, right? And that just keeps continuing as you're increasing your spend, which is a good problem to have, right? Because as long as you're monitoring things, right? But where you get into trouble is where you start trying to focus on, oh, I want to hit that $2,000 a day, or I want to hit that $4,000 a day, or whatever your number is. And maybe you're taking the jumps a little too quickly. Maybe your ad isn't as strong as it could be. Maybe you could make it a little stronger so that when you try to scale, it actually scales a lot better. But you'll quickly start seeing that I was making more money per day in terms of in my pocket at $1,000 a day rather than $3,000 a day. So the question is why are you trying to increase your spend if your goal is profitability, right? Now there are products that you can scale a lot higher than that, but there's some products out there that, essentially once you start spending over $300 or $400, it just doesn't make money anymore. So my advice to those people would be, if your focus and your goal is profitability, there's nothing wrong with leaving an ad at $300 or $400 a day, and that pipe dream, or that dream that you have of making $10,000 a day or whatever, leave that for later on when you have maybe an ad, a product that basically is more scalable, right? But yeah, there's things that I've gone through experiences where I don't know if people on this call are familiar with ClickBank, but sometimes ClickBank, ClickBank is basically a marketplace for products online where people can sign up as an affiliate, and it's one of the easiest ways to get started in affiliate marketing. But sometimes ClickBank servers go down, right? So sometimes you're faced with a situation where you're sleeping, right? You can't pay attention to the computer all night long, right? We all have to sleep. And you wake up in the morning and you realize that you just spent the same $500, but you didn't get any visitors to your the offer page. So the offer page is usually hosted on ClickBank servers. And then you're wondering how this happened. And ClickBank didn't reach out to me or notify me that their servers were down. And a lot of times they'll reach out, but they'll reach out maybe a day or two later and say, well, we apologize or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you're not paying attention to things or shutting things off, it's, obviously you're taking the hit. So if you lose a $500 or $1,000 of spend because literally people are interested in your offer, couldn't actually see the offer, that's just, you have to chalk it up to losses, daily losses, right? And that happens sometimes.
Right. So again, I know I'm trying to bring it back down to earth, because you're going to have some people who are like, wow, okay, this guy's like talking about chalking it up $500. and we and you going to have words, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have lose. No, it's like, yeah, just have chalking up the losses. Yeah. You're talking about somebody who can spend thousands, if not tens of thousands in a single day, right? So most of the people, again, back down on, simpleton, the simpleton land, like where I live, we're like, okay, you know what? How do I start out and avoid all the headaches, avoid all of the issues that typically plague people when they're just starting out, right? And like I said, number one, you want to make sure that you have something that has a very large profit margin built in, right? Which brings me to my next point. We're going to wrap up here. I want to keep this call about an hour, but it brings me to my next point, right? If you had a choice between, working today and making a sale and getting paid, or working today, making sale, getting paid today for that job, and the next month they came and paid you again for the job you did last month, and then the month after that they said, you know what, by the way, let's pay you again for the job you did in January. If you have a 9-to-5 and your boss came to you and said, look, man, I know that you're working hard. It's not that you're lazy or anything, but you see the amount of work you did on Monday, I'm actually going to pay you next week Monday for the work that you did last week Monday. and I'm going to pay you the Monday after that for the work that you did last week, Monday. And I'm going to keep doing that for as long as you have this job. Is that okay? You're like, hell yeah. So do I have to actually come to work next week, Monday? No. We just pay you. We just continue paying you every week for as long as you're employed with us, right? If your boss told you that, you'd be like, thank God, thank the heavens, my prayers have been answered, right? The reality is, if you promote products that have recurring payments, the chances of you being profitable significantly increase, right? Because you're working once and you're getting paid over and over and over and over again. Now, when I realized this, right? And the reason why I actually realized this was what we discussed earlier. Your profit margins tend to sink, right? I don't care what product you're promoting. I don't care if it's a service. I don't care what it is, right? As you start to increase, as you start to get more customers, as you start to get more exposure, what typically tends to happen is that your profit margins decrease. Because as I said, you begin the whole journey with the starting 5 or the starting 11, right? These are your all-stars. As you start to scale up, you have to go to the bench, right? All-stars can't play all the time. So you have to reach to your bench. And as you go to your bench, these people are on the bench for a reason. They're not as good as all-stars, right? And the deeper you have to go into the bench is the worse the players get, right? So whereas your starting 5, or if it's basketball or starting 11 or whatever sport you want, may be awesome and they could win the game in their sleep, your bench may not be able to do that, right? And so you have to work a little bit harder to get the same exact result from your bench as you do from a starting 5, right? The reason I say this is when you have an offer and it pays once, right? I buy a product, you give me a commission, and I only get 1 commission. It means that your margins are capped, right? It's set. If I have a product again for $1 and I'm selling for $1.10 and I'm getting the difference, my margin is capped at $1.10. I can't earn any more than $1.10 because that's what I sold the product for. If it's a one-off payment, I ain't going to make more than that, right? Not from that product. Maybe if they have other stuff on the back end, but that's the most I can make, whatever the product price is minus my initial cost, right? If I have a recurring offer, the same $1.10, right? I buy it for $1, I sell it for $1.10. If next month they give me $1.10 again, now my profit margin went from I only made 10 cents the first month to, oh wow, no, I'm over 100% profit. If they pay me again the month after that, oh, now my profit just keeps going up, right? But I didn't have to do additional work. Now, I spent countless hours researching offers that meet this criteria, right? When I mean countless hours trying to find what types of offers, what offers are out there that people actually want that will pay you every month. Now, if you guys want me to share the list of products that are crushing it, that pay you every month, even though you work once, let me know in the comments below, right? This was not something that I had planned on sharing, but I literally have a spreadsheet. It's an Excel spreadsheet where I did the research, because once it dawned on me like, hey, wait, I'm working and I'm getting paid once. This is no bueno. This doesn't work. So once I realized that, I went and started doing research and I tried to find products that would pay me over and over and over and over again. And I literally hired somebody to go through and scour the internet to find some of the best products that will pay on a recurring basis. Now, what type of product? Why would a product pay you on a recurring basis? If you're brand new, you're not sure. Imagine I'm referring somebody over to buy an iPhone, right? Let's say an iPhone is $900, assuming that iPhone has an affiliate program, but this one's just an easy example. Let's say that, iPhone told me that, hey, for every person that I referred, they'd pay me $100, right? I'm like, okay, awesome, that's great, right? I go refer the iPhone, they bought the iPhone, I get $100, life is good, right? They bought one iPhone, so that's it. I can't, they're not going to pay me more than $100 because it doesn't make any sense. Let's use that same example, but instead of me referring the iPhone, I'm referring the customer over to T-Mobile or Verizon or Sprint or whatever cellular provider you have. And that cellular provider says, hey, this person pays, $100 a month. We'll give you $30 out of that. Again, I'm just making up numbers, obviously. but we'll give you, let's say $30 out of that for every month that they stay. Well, they pay the bill next month. So, wow, $30 comes into my pocket. And then they pay the bill after that. $30 comes into my pocket. You could see how it's in both our benefits to for the company to pay me every month because they didn't have to go out and get the customer. And it's in my benefit to work even harder to get that customer over to that platform because I know I'm going to get him paid month in, month out, month in, month out. Those are the type of offers that I focus on right now. If you want to be an affiliate marketer and you are absolutely crushing it, that's great, right? That's quick money. That's the money now type of situation. If you want the money later, the money where I can go on vacation and I don't have to worry about, is my campaign on? I don't have to worry about, okay, what's going on with these links? I don't have to worry about all these different factors. If that sounds appealing to you, then this is the type of model that you want. Again, go ahead and let me know in the comments if this is the model you want, because before I wrap up, I'm going to leave you guys with this tidbit. For the past almost several few months, basically from this year, so what, 10 months now? For the past 10 months, I have been investigating different methods of making recurring revenue. And I literally just hired a team to do some of the sales on one of the offers that I figured out. These guys are, when I mean the tip of the top, they train the salespeople for Inc, top 500 and Inc top 100 companies. They literally go through and train those people's sales teams. And I got those people to come and craft the scripting for me to come and actually create all the sales presentations and everything for me. Now, the reason I did this is because I started to create an offer that pays on a recurring basis, but that also has the built-in selling for you, so you don't have to do it. And so I want to make sure that the selling, everything was awesome. So I literally paid, a team of people who literally train the tip of the top, and they charge, a pretty penny. I got them to come and create the scripts. So that's just the teaser. I'm not going to actually tell you what the offer is right now. Again, in the next call, I'll dive a little bit deeper into it, but just know that we're taking this thing seriously. Just know that we are getting to the point where I want financial freedom, but I also want time freedom, right? If I make $1 million in affiliate marketing, but I have to work 70, 80 hours a week, that's not appealing to me. Right? It may be appealing to you if you've never been there before. If you've never made your first 10,000 or 100,000 or $1 million online, then yeah, of course you want to get there. But if you get there and you have to work like a dog, 70, 80, 100, 120, 100, odd hours a week, then you don't have the time to actually spend with your friends, your family. You don't have the time to travel to do the things that you actually enjoy. And at that point in time, you're just working, and you're missing out on life. So if you don't want to miss out on life, if you want to actually learn how to, promote a product that you sell once and you get paid over and over and over, like I said, my goal was, I want you to pay me now. I want you to pay me later. I don't want to have to deal with any customer service, and I don't want to have to deal with a bunch of fulfillment. That, to me, if you meet those 4 criteria, that is a match made in heaven. And that is the type of offer that I'm developing right now. So if you want access to it, I'm going to tell you what it is. You want access to it, go ahead and leave a comment below, and I'll put you on the early bird list so you can see exactly how it works. Anything else from you, Scott?
No, I was gonna, I think we've had this discussion before, but that's basically where the smart money is. And, I've been in a situation before where, I'd like to maybe have a little more free time, or I'd like to make a large purchase. But then I'm also thinking that, because I don't have this money reoccurring and I have to go out there and work, and no, not go out there, but I mean, like be in front of the computer at times, staying up late at night, putting together ads, watching my campaigns and everything. So even though the money coming in a lot of times is good, like you said before, if the profitability is not there, right, then you're constantly thinking.
And there's no certainty as well. So
yeah,
you could work and promote this product and it just not sell.
Yeah.
And you can, as I said, you can actually put in a lot of work and end up losing money, right? If you're advertising, right? And this is not meant to scare people who are new, but there are pitfalls. And if you don't have somebody who can actually point out these pitfalls for you, you could get slaughtered. And let's just call a spade a spade. I'm not going to dress it up and tell you it's all roses, right? If you know what you're doing, online marketing and online business is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't have a guide to tell you, okay, don't step there, right? That ice right there, it's super thin, right?
Yeah.
You're probably going to fall through, right? It
Yeah.
takes people like me and Scott falling through the ice and having to claw and climb our way back out, shivering like, oh, please don't let that happen again. Only to have it happen again a second time and then claw our way again out of that, freezing water for us to realize, hey, man, you probably shouldn't step there, right?
Yeah.
How much better would it be for you if you had someone to tell you, you don't want to go over there, right? It
Yeah.
ain't good.
Yeah, I know.
It ain't good. So that's
and having a list of customers or clients or whatever, and you have a list of these people who signed up for a service that you promoted, and with pretty much certainty that 90 to 95% of these people, maybe even 100% of these people, month after month after month after month, are going to each put in $50, $100, or whatever the number is. Even if you're only making, say, $2,000 or $3,000 a month reoccurring, right? You can at least start living your life or designing your life around that extra income without worrying about that. All of a sudden, that money's going to be gone.
Yeah, it's a car payment. Hey, can I buy a car and spend $1,500 on it? If next month I could make zero, right?
Exactly.
So it's having that security. It's the reason why most of us have, well, most of you guys, I haven't had a 9 to 5 since. I don't want to get into that, but I've only ever had one job, and it was for a very short time. I was like, man, forget this, man. I'm going to be entrepreneurs road. I've never actually, I only had one real job, and after that, it was like, man, I'm going to sink or swim. But it's the reason why you guys have jobs, right? Is having that security, knowing that every 2 weeks or every month, depending on how you get paid, it's having that security blanket of, hey, I know I'm going to make 3,000, 4,000, 10,000, 15, whatever it is your number is. It's knowing that you're getting that every month, and then you build your life around that number typically, right? The house that you buy, the car that you buy, the school that your kids go to, the clothes and everything, right? Is based on that number. And so if you know it's coming in every month, then you have that. But what comes with it is the complaints. What comes with it is the dissatisfaction. What comes with it is, I hate my boss. Such an ass, because that number is not really increasing, right? And before I go, the question that I got asked recently is, if you, how many of you guys actually work hard, right? How many of you guys would say that, hey, I'm just lazy, I don't do anything, and I get my monthly salary just comes in every month, right? How many guys, or girls on the call, right? Probably nobody, right? Most of you are working hard, right? So if you wanted to triple your income, right? The answer to do that is simple. Just triple the amount of hours you're working. Problem solved, right? Good to go. Yeah, you realize that's a problem, right? It creates another problem, because you can, in some of your cases, you can't. You physically don't have, you can't work 30 hours a day, right? It's just not possible, right? So you have to find a way to actually increase that profitability without having to increase the hours, right? We need to break away, decouple from that switching, trading time for hours for money. It doesn't work out. It's an equation that's not going to balance, right? So you want to make sure that you have this new model of looking at, how can I get recurring income so I can plan, so I can know, hey, if I want to buy this car or this house or this investment or whatever it is, I have the money coming in every day. And that is the biggest pitfall for affiliate marketers, is a lack of security. We think we have the freedom because we don't have a boss, but we actually have traded one boss that we can see for a boss that we can't. And that boss is even harder on us than the one that we thought was an asshole, right? Because this new boss, which could be Google or YouTube or whatever it is that you have to actually go and spend all this time on, this new boss may not even pay us at the end of the day. This new boss will have us working 100+ hours a week and literally just give us a big middle finger because we sold no products at the end of the day, right? And this new boss don't care, right? The new boss could say to you, hey, they don't reward effort, they reward results.
Mhm.
And that is a hard lesson to learn. Unlike the market does not care how hard you worked. The market does not care that you spent all night on this ad, or that you put your all into this thing. It don't care. It cares about results. And if you don't know how to get results for people, you're gonna be broke. That's just how it is. It's a dog eat dog world, right? That's just how it is. So if you want to actually have that security blanket, if you want to build that buffer, if you want to have a business model that works, even if you're average, or even if you're below average, let's say, right? You are not, let's say you say, you know what, I tend to mess up a lot, right? How about a business model that works even if you're not the brightest bulb in the drawer, right? That's what I want. Like you can tell me, hey, listen, man, you mess it up all the time. Yep. I want to be able to mess up all the time and still be profitable. You give me that business, I'll take it 7 days out of 7, right? I don't want to have to be perfect from the free throw line. I want to be able to just make one shot throughout the entire game and win. Yep. Got it.
That would be nice.
Right? That would be nice. I just want to make one shot. You have to be at the free throw line perfect, right? No, cool. I'll just throw it up from anywhere. It goes in once and I'm done. So that's it. If you guys liked this type of content and you want us to continue, again, this is it. We don't have a lot of structure and stuff like that. Literally today, we're just like, you know what? Let's just do this. And this is literally an example of just getting started, right? Because we're like, you know, these calls and I was like, look, let's just put it out there, see what the feedback is. We do more of what works and less of what doesn't. So depending on what you guys like, depending on whether you enjoy the content, you let us know in the comments, and then after that, we can give you more content. We can ask questions and answer questions and stuff like that. So it's 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, depending on where you are. So that is it for us. Appreciate you guys following us. We appreciate you guys actually coming here. Again, don't forget to get involved in the comments below, and I'll see you I guess on Monday. We try to do this 1 o'clock on Eastern, 1 o'clock Eastern time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed, and hopefully Scott enjoyed presenting this stuff for you. I'll leave you and let you kind of take us out, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate anyone who's come on the call. I appreciate that drive. Anyone who wants to kind of quit the 9 to 5 and do their own thing, and I support 100%. When I was trying to do it myself, I faced a lot of adversity. A lot of people that were close to me were talking to me and saying that, you know, you should stick with your stable, you know, that stable job that you have. Even though you're coming home every single day feeling like you can do a little bit more, make a little bit more, contribute a little bit more, it's consistent income that will be there tomorrow, right? Which is not necessarily true. So anyone who wants to do their own thing and wants to go for it, I think if you're on this call right now, I think you, Anton personally mentored me. I have a lot to thank Anton for, because of a lot of the advice that he gave me way back when. He, you know, my life has changed. The lives of my family has changed.
The lifestyle, see, you can.
The lifestyle has changed.
I am down to earth, have on a regular T-shirt. This dude looks like he's GQ.
No.
Like he literally just came out of a magazine shoot. Like, all right, yeah, I'm ready. All right.
Oh man.
Hold on, let's not do this again. Okay. On our next call, please dress regularly. Okay. You're making it look bad, bro. This is just not professional. Okay. It's either we're both not professional, or I can't just come in here and look regular and then you're like, I'll dressed up GQ. It's not gonna work. All right. So
Oh man.
Not do this again.
Oh, come on, Anton. Okay, come on. You can't fool me, okay? You can't.
All right, man. It's been fun. Again, if you want to enjoy, if you want to come and, you know, ask us questions or anything, go ahead and let me know in the comments below, and, you know, come join us on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 o'clock. We basically are like this, shooting the breeze. And the other thing before we go is, a lot of times we will be testing ideas and we get into the actual details, right, of campaigns and behind the scenes and the tools we're using and stuff like that. Not all the time we come and shoot the breeze, but one thing I know is if I don't enjoy what I'm doing, I'm probably not going to do it a lot, right? Scott and I have had these calls for some time now, and I really and truly, I enjoy these calls, right? So it's not even work or anything. It's just, hey, oh, we have a call. Let's get together and talk and see what we can do to go forward. So if you want to join us, then go ahead and let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed it. Drop a like, a subscribe, and that's it for us today. We'll see you on